going on YouTube? Well, it's been a while since I've done a video, and I figured why not just do a video on this guy right here. This is one of the guitars I use the most. This is a 2001 Epiphone Les Paul Custom, made in Korea. First two letters of the serial number are F and N. This thing weighs about 10.5 pounds or so. Pretty heavy for an Epiphone. Beautiful guitar though. The fretboard is extremely dark. And this is if this is a Gibson, I think it's a very light ebony. Very little imperfections at all in this fretboard. It's hard to see in the light, but there's very little imperfections in this wood. So anyway, I'm just kind of doing this video because I saw somebody comment about Epiphone and guitars made in Korea compared to Indonesia, compared to China, and like they're all the same. They're all the same. And I'm here to tell you they're not all the same. If you buy a Korean-made Epiphone compared to a China-made Epiphone, I'm gonna tell you there's a huge difference in quality. I've played a lot of Korean-made guitars, and most of them can hold up with any American-made guitar. I mean, especially these guitars. I mean, being a 2001, it's almost 20 years old, and you can definitely feel it. It's a lot of guitar here, and it's definitely worth, for what these cost used. Definitely worth their weight in gold. You can get one of these probably for like anywhere from $300 to $400. Some are a little bit more. It depends on what the condition is. Obviously, this is all stock except for the bridge pickup, which is an SH6, and I put orange drop capacitors in. And other than that, it's all the same. These tuners, they're very similar to Godot's, and I think they're the I don't know. Again, I don't know. I know a lot of the Korean-made guitars use the Godot tuners, and these almost look identical to Godot's. They stay in tune extremely well, and but I think I got a little irritated because people are like, well, if you buy Indonesia or China or Korea, they're all the same, and they're not. I mean, God, you can tell. You look at Epiphone, like you take this Epiphone here, and you go against a 2017 Epiphone Les Paul Custom. You tell me there's no difference. Now again, it's not always, as the years go on, if you buy an Epiphone now, how long does it take for the pickups start, or the knobs start to screech and scratch, and probably doesn't take too long, This was all stock, except the only thing I did is I did change out the tone pot for the bridge, because it was very loose, and it was doing one of those crackling things. But again, the thing is almost 20 years old. It was the original, so it's okay. It ain't 2 weeks old. But this guitar here, I'll tell you, just sustain-wise is. As you can tell, it's hard to really get a feel for it on the phone completely, but this guitar sustains extremely well. And again, if you're looking for, especially with the holidays coming, and for any guitar player, I'm telling you, Korean-made guitars, not just Epiphone, PRS, LTD, the EC1000 line. I like this one because it's got a thicker, beefier neck. It almost feels like a thicker shaped D. And I don't like thin necks. I've never been a fan of thin necks. As I've gotten older, I actually prefer them. I don't know why. They just feel more comfortable to me now than they did 10 years ago. Yeah, I'm just telling you, for what the price you can get these at, I mean, listen, the new Epiphones, I haven't played a lot of them, and honestly, the fact that they're made in China, maybe I'm just turned off by that, and I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna even deal with them. But again, when it comes to Korean-made guitars, even Indonesia, I've had some very nice Indonesian-made guitars too. But I'm telling you, give these Korean guitars, these Epiphones, a chance, because these guitars are really, really nice. You can find you know, the 93 Epiphones made in Korea. They're different plants, I believe, over the years, but one thing that stays the same. These are extremely good guitars. And again, they range from anywhere from $400 to $600. Depends on who's, you know, what condition. And the reason Epiphone doesn't make them in Korea anymore is because the price point is more expensive. If you were to buy this guitar today, made in Korea, it probably cost you anywhere from $8,000 to $1,000. Where now they can sell an Epiphone custom for like under $600 because it's made in China. So everything's cheaper. The wood, the labor, the parts. Where the Korean-made ones are, they're going to run them probably like another $200 to $400 more than it would over here in China. But again, these guitars, second to none, excellent guitars. Korean-made guitars, some of the best guitars out there. So when you see an Epiphone, and look at the year of it, because if it's an older one, if it's a 2004, I think 2004 and back, chances are it's made in Korea. And normally it'll say it, you know, the first two letters of the serial number, or like the FN, is the factory. So if it's made in Korea, the first two letters will usually tell you what factory it was made in. But again, great guitars, and they can actually hold their own with actually Gibsons. And at 10.5 pounds, this thing will sustain for days. I believe it's all mahogany. I don't know if there's a maple cap on these. If you know, original Gibson Customs didn't use a maple cap. Back then, they were all mahogany, and they. It wasn't until a few years later they put the maple cap on it, and then they made it look more elegant with the binding and everything. But anyway, so if you're in the market looking for another guitar, and listen, I know Epiphone has the greatest ring to it, and for me, trust me, you know, that was me for many years. But I got my hands on this baby, and let me tell you, it's a beautiful guitar, and I would not let it go for anything. Well, maybe a '59 standard Gibson, but that's our story for another day. Anyway, just want to shout out and say, yeah, have a good night. Later.